Hello, hello, Dale Majors here, and welcome to Venture Anyway and day 3 of the Masterclass. And I hope you finish your homework, your hero list. Who is it that you admire and what attributes did they have that you really aspire to also have? Today, we're going to talk about values alignment, and I'm going to share with you a tool that can help you assess whether you're actually living in alignment. So I want to share with you first a story and an experience that I had in 2014. So that kind of like jostled me awake at a time where I really felt like I was on a hamster wheel. My life kept changing, but I kept, a lot of the same old habits, and I didn't really feel aligned. So 2014, my wife and I took our 3 kids to France for 2 months, and we were just cycling. We started near the ocean, and we started riding towards Germany, and we crossed, Switzerland, and we rode into Germany. Amazing trip. It was awesome. And after a couple weeks, I started to just be really thoughtful about how I was actually spending my time. So at this time, I was running a company, the bike wagon company I told you about. I had 25 or so employees, great people. I was able to work 15 minutes a day while I was gone. So I was in an amazing situation, like so enviable. It was such a great situation. But what was crazy about it was I still wasn't working out all that much and taking care of like my fitness level. I'd always wanted to learn French, and I wasn't doing anything about it. I always wanted to learn the piano. I wasn't doing anything about it. And I had a whole list of goals, actually. I rode through Europe for 2.5 months in 2006. And a lot of those same goals that I had, learn French, study my scriptures every single day. There were all these things that I wanted to do that I said were really important to me, but I wasn't doing them consistently. A lot of times I'd wake up and then I'd just get working, and there was always a new emergency. There was always something that kept me away from doing the things that I said I valued. And I hadn't found a way to fix it. So there you go. It was this big kind of wake-up call. And I was 2 weeks into this trip, and I had another 6 weeks. So I was determined to fix it. And I don't know if you're the kind of person who will make lists about things they want to make better, and then maybe make those changes for a short amount of time, but eventually just fall off the wagon again and end up where you were. I felt like I was that guy. And I was aspirational, I was motivated, and I wanted to make the changes, but I was doing a really poor job of actually doing those things. So I was set, I was absolutely determined on that trip to make a change this time that would actually last. And I want to tell you how I did it. All right, so we're actually not going to lay out exactly how I did it on this course, or we'll do it on the course. In the subsequent days, I'm going to go through all of those things. On today's call, though, it's more about values alignment. And what inspired me and motivated me to make the change. So really, you're not going to change anything that you don't really want. So if you just kind of want to make a change, the odds are, if it's a hard change, you're not going to do it if you kind of want to do it. That's why in this video series, we're starting with that big picture and the why and core values and getting really clear about what we actually want and assessing whether we're in line. That's what we're going to do today. And then as we decide and make those decisions that we want to change, I'm going to give you the tools to actually make those changes. So there you go. It's a process that I'm going to take you through the process that I went through to actually change, because I can tell you 5 years later, all those things that I wanted to do, I'm actually doing now. And hopefully, by the end of the series, you'll be able to have those same tools to do the same thing. All right, so I want to talk about the difference between values and core values, and then we're going to give the homework and finish up. So I got this from Stan, who got it from his manager at another company, and he said that the difference between a core value and a value can be illustrated with this little story or scenario. So imagine that you wake up, you're late for work and you have to run to work. Are you going to put your clothes on, brush your teeth, do your hair, Are you just going to do 2 of those things? What are you going to do without fail? And I guarantee that most of us would, without fail, put our clothes on first before we went out the door. While some of us may forget or may just pass on doing our hair or even brushing our teeth, right? So the difference is that the avoidance of public nudity is a core value. It's something we really value, that we really care about, where stinky breath might just be a priority. Man, I never want to not have my teeth brushed, but if I had to choose one, I would always put my clothes on because I don't want to end up in jail, right? And it's cold outside, whatever, all those reasons, okay? But what are those things? So thinking about core values, what are the things that you really, really value? So I want you to take a minute. You can take some clues by what you wrote down yesterday with the people that you admire and what their attributes are. But I want you to stop the video and write down maybe your top 3 to 7 core values. What are they? Okay, so here's the homework. And this may set you back a day, okay? I need you to take a whole day and write down everything that you are doing for every 15 minutes. So basically, you take a piece of paper and you write down, if you wake up at 5, you write down 5 a.m. And for the next 15 minutes, just set a timer on your phone. That's one way you could do it. For the next 15 minutes, write down what you did. So every time your timer goes out, go in and write down how you spend that time all the way to the end of the day. And then we're going to have this list of data that tells us exactly how we spent our time. If you have a day planned to dig holes for 15 hours straight, then don't do it on that day. Do it on a day when you have a little more freedom and flexibility to dictate your own schedule. So what I want you to learn from this is specifically finding times of the day when you're lower energy. So there was a time of day for me when I did this exercise at the very first time. What I realized it had gone like 45 minutes. I didn't have a timer set, but time just kept going longer and longer. So that's actually one reason to not have the timer. But the time would pass and I was like, oh man, time's flying by again. And I'd forget to do it. And my mind just kind of became blah, blah, blah. And for me, that was during a certain time of day. Now, when I plan, I very deliberately put things in that part of the day that require less energy from me. So, or things that I really like to do. I like to meet with people. I like to, it's easy for me to do email time, for example. I like to I like to have meetings. I like meeting with people. So I actually plan all my meetings during that time when I have lower energy. So what you're going to want to do is jot out a whole day and do a time inventory. All right, let me give a little clarification on the time inventory. You don't have to wait for the next video. You'll be able to do the next video, but this is a piece of homework that you need to make sure to have happen, especially in the next 2 or 3 days to keep up with the content, and you're going to learn from it. A lot of people don't just do this for one day. I've read some guys that do it for 2 weeks straight, and with the results, that's where you can also see there's lots of benefits. The main thing we're going for is how aligned are you with your priorities. So if you look at your day and you say, wow, I'm not spending, one of my values is personal fitness, and I spent zero time working on that. Or one of my values is spending time with my family, and I didn't spend any time with my family. So you can do that for several days. And another benefit that comes from it is you can identify where you're spending your time, especially as a business owner or somebody that can delegate to others. That'll give you ideas on how you can have other people help you with some of those tasks, where if you want to delegate those things so you can work on higher value things, it can also help you with that. So I hope that's helpful, and thank you for being here on day 3 of the masterclass. Tomorrow we're going to talk about self-worth and how we value ourselves. And there specifically a time where I was going through a really hard time and was letting that get me down a little bit, and maybe you'll relate. So thanks again for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow.